Dolphins fans. Hope everyone is ready for the weekend. Hope everybody is ready to talk some Dolphins football. We appreciate you here at the channel for taking time out of your day and spending it with us because we do have a lot to talk about. We're going to mention all of the injury news going into Monday Night Football with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll look ahead towards the future as well. We're going to talk about Joe Burrow. Could he be on the trade block this offseason? We're going to look at Dane Brugler from The Athletic, his first mock draft. Does he have Miami taking an absolute stud? I believe he does. And then also looking ahead to all the free agents Miami has this upcoming offseason. Who should the Dolphins try to re-sign? Who should they let walk? Loaded show here at Dolphins Today. I am Nic Rohloff. Shout out your city for me down in the comment section. Where are the real ones watching from? As we wait for people to pile into the live show, let me know where you're tuning in from. We are a worldwide company here. We are a worldwide audience. We are a worldwide family. Coop and I are in Dallas, Texas. Nate Brown is in Florida. Jonathan is Sarasota. Nate is specifically in Daytona Beach. Austin in Mentor, Ohio. J Squared says, cool idea, but how would they manage to get Joe Burrow? Would love to see that. Well, we'll talk about it. There might be a chance that he ultimately requests a trade this offseason. He had a very cryptic response to a question at his press conference on Wednesday that has set the NFL world on fire. We'll talk about it for sure. We got Stupfi in Stuttgart, Germany, Charles in Jacksonville, Emmanuel in the Bahamas, J Squared in New York, St. Augustine, Florida, Kissimmee, Florida, Lake Worth, Florida. A lot of people tuning in from Florida, and we will welcome in producer Coop to the building today. Coop, how are you doing?
I was surprised when we were scripting today's show that we were going to be discussing a potential Joe Burrow trade to the Miami Dolphins. That just seems absolutely crazy to me, but it's not as crazy as you might think.
Yeah, it really isn't, man. It really isn't at all. I'll tell you what. I think the chances of him being traded are very slim, but I don't think it's absolutely obscene to think that it's possible he requests the trade.
It's not unfathomable at all because that organization is a joke.
Yeah, and Joe Burrow, we'll show his quote. I mean, clearly not enjoying the sport as much as he probably should, whether that is a Cincinnati issue, an injury issue, a combination of both. I'm not sure, but there has been talk about Joe Burrow. Could he be on the trade block this offseason because he asked out of Cincinnati? But we have to focus on a game this upcoming Monday night first. What is your confidence level in the Dolphins beating the Steelers on Monday Night Football in Week 15? Scale it for me, 1 to 10 down in the comment section.
I don't know where to scale this, and we'll get into the TJ Watt news in a moment, but that certainly tips the scales in favor of the Dolphins. We're obviously wishing the best for TJ and hope everything's good there. But I think I'm still at like a mid-5, like a 5-4. I don't know. This game just feels like it's going to be a difficult one for the Dolphins to win. Even though the Steelers did have a December collapse last year, and it feels like they're kind of teetering off as we speak at the moment. It really is a loser leaves town game, but I feel like it's a true coin flip at this point.
I see 7-7, 8-5, 6-4, 8-5-5. I truly believe this is well, you can't say it's an elimination game for the Steelers because even if they lose, no matter what Baltimore does this week, I don't even know who the Ravens play, by the way. But whoever they do, even if they win that game, Pittsburgh will still lead the division because they have the head-to-head against Baltimore. So not like the biggest game in the world. If they lose, they're done in Pittsburgh. But Miami, yes. One loss and they're eliminated. Maybe not mathematically, but I'll say this. If you do not win this game, even if you are not mathematically eliminated,
it's over.
You are done. It is going to require 10 wins to make the playoffs. And even if Miami gets to 10-7 as we frequently mention here on the channel, it is still very unlikely Miami makes the playoffs regardless. So, big game on Monday. I'm excited to play it. I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited to be here live with all of you. And hopefully you guys join us Monday night as well. Well, we're going to get into it in full later on, but here is the miniature quote that they're just showing on NFL Live right now. If I want to keep on doing this, I have to have fun doing it. That is what Joe Burrow said at his Wednesday press conference this week. And that speculated, could Burrow retire? Is that him not being happy in Cincinnati and he's going to request a trade? If he requests a trade, Miami should absolutely see what is possible and if it is capable of them getting Joe Burrow. Let me know. Y for yes or N for no.
We're talking about a guy who I think is a top 5 QB in the NFL.
Oh, I would absolutely believe so as well.
And if he were to call it quits this early, I think that would be even more shocking than the Andrew Luck situation, where Luck dealt with injuries his whole career. Now, Burrow has as well, but I think Burrow's in a spot where he's got a lot of football left in him, and it would shock me. Now, if he were to request a trade, I don't know if that would shock me necessarily. And if he does, the Dolphins better be spamming the phone of the Bengals general manager.
Yeah, MC Gaming says yes, BR says yes, but nothing crazy like 3 first-rounders. They got bad
I would give 5 first-rounders for Joe Burrow. I know you can only give like 3, right?
Well, no, you are only capable of trading your own first-round picks 3 years in advance. So hypothetically, Miami could trade 2026, 2027, and 2028. Now, if you are a team like the New York Jets or Los Angeles Rams who have multiple first-rounders in a year, I do not think there is a cap on how many you can trade. So the Jets, we've talked about it, have 4 first-rounders over the next 2 years. They could trade 6 first-rounders.
Yeah.
That's 4 over the next 2 years, and then, 5. And then the 5th one would be in 2028.
You could theoretically do it on a draft night where you were to select the player and then trade your 3 picks. Could you do that?
No, I think if it's just the offseason.
Oh,
so
okay.
That year and then 2 years
Gotcha.
out. So now they don't go as far as 7 years like the NBA.
The NBA is a joke, but that's neither here nor there.
But yeah, it would absolutely require at least 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round.
And I know the Dolphins have a bunch of team-building needs. You do this deal.
You think so? I kind of hinted at an idea at the end of the show that I wouldn't do it.
Oh my goodness! If I have a chance to get a top 5 quarterback and I'm in the situation of the Dolphins, there's no doubt in my mind. When was the last time the Dolphins had a good quarterback?
Well, Tua in 2023 was really good.
When he led the league in completion percentage, I suppose.
And passing yards. I don't think it was completion percentage.
But he's never been at the level of Joe Burrow.
No, but like if you're asking when was the last time you had high-level quarterback play, Tua was capable of high-level quarterback play.
He was.
It's just like that's what I always get angry at some people that call us Tua haters and that we just blame everything on Tua. Like that's not the case at all. I supported Tua. I defended Tua. He was fantastic in 2023. He was good in 2022, but had the injuries late in the year. Like, I've defended Tua a lot. I just have come to the realization that he is a shell of himself these last 2 years compared to his first 3 years in the league, and it's a contract that Miami can't stomach much longer.
Mentally and physically a shell of himself.
Yeah. All right, coming up live here, we got some shocking Dolphins news. It actually has nothing to do with Miami, but impacts this Monday Night Football game against the Steelers. We are talking about Joe Burrow now. We'll mention him in depth here coming up in a second. We also are going to react to a 2026 NFL mock draft coming in from the Athletics' Dane Brugler. We're going to take a look at who Miami selected in the first round and if I like the pick and overall draft thoughts currently with Miami. Plus, we'll do a Miami Dolphins free agency look ahead. We'll examine the top 16, 18 free agents to be that are currently on the Dolphins roster, and then I'll give you my thoughts on if Miami should look to re-sign them or let them go in free agency. But we got to get the likes up if we want to start today's show. We need to get to 35, 40 likes. Hit that thumbs up icon right now. The like number's a little bit low. Let's stop being stingy.
It's Thirsty Thursday, baby.
Hit that thumbs up button and let's get rolling on today's show. We need at least 35.
Tua, Bradley, Chubb, and a first-round pick from this year will not get you Joe Burrow.
Zach Lowe, again, and doing the Giannis story and talking around the league, Miami was suggested to me as a place Giannis would love to land if it's not New York. It sounds like if it's Miami or New York.
And I was called madmen by people in this office for saying that.
Who said that? Who told you that?
Your ex-roommate.
Which one?
Patrick.
Really?
Yep.
What was his team?
He said Atlanta's number 2, no question.
I think they have a better package, but I don't think.
But
Giannis
he's not.
Would
Yeah,
want to go
Giannis
there.
would exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Like I think if you're asking Giannis, like power rank the teams in the NBA that you want to play for. Out if you request trade for Milwaukee, it goes Knicks, Heat, and then you can figure out.
Who cares? Yeah.
But I think those are the top 2.
Absolutely.
All right, come on. We just need a couple more likes, and then we'll get into today's show. Let's go. Hit that thumbs up icon, man. I'll say this, MC Gaming. If you traded for Joe Burrow, there is no point in keeping Tua.
You're going to have $95 million in
$90
quarterbacks.
million. He'll be more than that.
Oh, yeah.
He'll be over 100.
What's Burrow? I thought Burrow was at like 45.
No, he's in the 50s.
Oh,
He certainly has gotten that contract. Like, you would legitimately have the highest paid quarterback room in the history of the league. Think about that. You would have about 40% of the cap, because the cap's about, what, $230 million per year, just around that range right now. You would have over $100 million allotted to your quarterbacks.
Insane.
Which is not
feasible,
yeah. 5 for 275.
Oh, boy.
Tua's slated to have a $56 million cap hit next year. Joe Burrow's cap hit next year is 48. So it would be 102.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. So in that scenario, you probably do everything in your power to find a trade partner for Tua, but there is an outcome where you can't, and you do keep both of them. And you just cut Tua after 2026 when you're allowed to based on his contract.
I think you would just have to post June 1, cut him, and eat the 67 dead million.
67 dead. Yeah, that's possible.
I mean,
that's possible too for sure. All right, we did cross our like threshold. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us here on today's show. So let's get into the first segment on the live stream, which is Miami Heat Dolphins injury news heading into NFL Week 15 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sometimes my mind goes numb, and I just confuse if I'm talking about the Dolphins or Heat on a day-to-day basis. I just make so much content for the two teams. It's hard. I mean, if it'd be different if I was doing like Dolphins and like Chicago Bulls, but like when you have to say Miami, I mean, it's a 50-50 chance in my brain if I'm going to say Heat or Dolphins anytime. All right, enough with the games. Let's get into the Dolphins news. We have some shocking Dolphins news heading into NFL Week 15, where Miami will travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers on Monday Night Football. We got injury news that need to be talked about on both fronts, so we'll start with Miami and the most important player on this Dolphins team right now, and that is Achane. He is the MVP of the Dolphins 2025 season. There is no doubt about that. He suffered a rib injury in the game last Sunday against the Jets, and the status for him is up in the air. Now, he is trending in a very positive direction, and both Achane and McDaniel expect him to be able to play on Monday, but he was a limited in the Thursday practice. He wore a non-contact red jersey, and boy, oh boy, is it a good thing Miami is playing on Monday night this week, because if this was on Sunday, I think the chances of Achane playing would go down just a little bit. That extra day of rest and rehab is going to be absolutely crucial. And in Achane's rehab to get back on the field playing, Mike McDaniel said it will be a gradual increase in activity and physicality throughout the week. Now, most players obviously are going to not want to play with a tough rib injury. Think about Achane, who touches the ball at least 20 times a game, and in this cold 17-degree night in Pittsburgh is going to get crushed in a physical game against a physical opponent in Pittsburgh. He's going to gut it out on Monday night, and boy, oh boy, I have to just give him a solid salute. We're gutting it out in our Week 15 sub battle against the Steelers channel here at Chat Sports. They're dominating us by 90 subscribers. If you want daily Dolphins content, this is the channel for you. But if you also want to come back in our sub battle, join the channel. I will say, in a positive light, it is very nice to know that Miami has 3 capable backs. So, yeah, I do expect Achane to be going this upcoming Monday night against Pittsburgh, but it's also solid to know, hey, maybe you don't have to give him 20, 25 carries, and you could sprinkle Jalen Wright. You can sprinkle Ollie Gordon. I mean, Jalen Wright filling in Achane's absence during the second half of Dolphins-Jets, he ended up finaling 107 rushing yards on 24 carries in that game and even reached the end zone. We've seen Ollie Gordon show how capable he is of being a lead back at times throughout a game, especially in short yardage situations and in the red zone, specifically inside the 10, inside the 5-yard line. But Jalen Wright got a little bit more action this past Sunday. And Mike McDaniel was asked about why we saw more of Wright than Ollie Gordon. And he said that Jalen has been on a heater in practice for the last couple of weeks. They've had in-game moments where some of my most trusted players have been motivated enough to tell me, hey, maybe we can get Jalen Wright the ball based on where he's been and how he's prepared. And I think this is an absolute terrific problem to have. How are you going to be able to have a longer shelf life on a smaller statured running back in Devon Achane? Oh, it's by dishing out some carries and some touches to other backs like Jalen Wright and Ollie Gordon. Oh, it's 3rd and inches, it's 4th and inches. Oh, it's 2nd and goal, 3rd and goal from the 1-yard line. Well, we don't have to put Devon Achane in at running back and have him suffer those big hits against big physical defensive linemen and linebackers. We can have Jalen Wright. We can have Ollie Gordon do it because they are capable of toting the rock and making productive plays. Having a 3-headed backfield like Miami has right now is extremely important. And I'll say this. I thought Jalen Wright was a trade candidate earlier this year. I'm glad the Dolphins didn't trade him. He's been crucial down the stretch here of this year as that 3rd running back and change of pace guy this past week against the Jets. And I imagine Miami will keep all 3 running backs going into the 2026 season as well. We talked about Devon Achane playing on Monday night. It sounds like he will have to wear a flak jacket to protect his ribs. Now, McDaniels did say it was up to him, but if you're Achane, if it's a little uncomfortable, get over it. Would you rather get smoked in the ribs and have a re-injury, or would you rather have that little bit of uncomfortable feeling, but be more likely to sustain a big hit to the midsection and not have to leave the game with injury? So if you're asking me, Devon Achane, you better wear a freaking flak jacket, because if you play in this game and then leave in the first half again because you got hit in the ribs and you weren't in a flak jacket, I'm going to be a little bit peeved off. Couple other injury notes for Miami, and then we'll transition over to Pittsburgh. 2 players were a DNP in Thursday's practice. Elijah Campbell, the safety, and Caleb Johnson, the linebacker. They both left the game against New York last Sunday and did not return. These 2 players have their primary role on special teams, so it's not like it's going to impact the defense of Miami in any way. Campbell's the 5th safety on this roster. Johnson's the 5th linebacker, but they both are heavily involved in kick return coverage, punt return coverage. So hopefully Miami is going to be able to circumvent losing those 2 players, specifically Elijah Campbell, who's known as one of the top aces on the special teams unit that Miami has. Today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. It's the holiday season. We got basketball matchups, playoff pushes, bowl games, and while we're out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, what game to watch, there is one place where it feels good to be right, and that is Prize Picks. Is your fantasy football season already over? If you don't want to wait till next year's draft, Prize Picks lets you play fantasy football every week. Pick your favorite players and win when they hit their projections every week. No draft required. Just pick more or less than at least 2 players' stats, and if you get your picks right, you could cash in. Achane should be on the field, and he is in my lineup more than rushing yards for Devon Achane. I'm pairing that up with Jalen Warren, less on rushing yards, and Malik Washington, less on receiving yards. That is my 3-player entry for Dolphins Steelers on Monday night. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. We're going to talk about the Steelers now because a very massive injury note was released today on arguably the best defensive player on the Steelers roster, that being TJ Watt. He might miss Monday Night Football against the Dolphins. In a shocking fashion, the Pittsburgh Steelers released a statement on Thursday afternoon that TJ Watt is currently in a local hospital for further medical evaluation of his lung after experiencing discomfort at the practice facility on Wednesday. He will not be at practice on Thursday, and his status for Monday night's game versus Miami is in question. Coach Tomlin will provide more updates at the appropriate time. We'll see how this week progresses, but if Watt misses this game, that is a massive loss for Pittsburgh. He's not having the elite type of season that he normally has, to where he's already at 13, 14 sacks entering the final month of the year. But Watt has still been extremely productive for Pittsburgh. This has obviously been one of the best edge rushers in the NFL over the last 5 to 7 years. A DPOY winner in the past. He's their leader. He knows how to take the ball away. I just want to say quickly, prayers up to TJ Watt, because a lung injury is absolutely nothing to play with. And I hope that everything is all right and he is going to end up being healthy. But if he is not on the field Monday night against Miami, that is a massive break. Yes, the Steelers defense does have a lot of solid edge rushers, and we'll showcase some of them here in a second, but they are not the same defense without TJ Watt on the field. And how about our own Steelers Talk host, Jack Sperry, providing this nugget on Thursday afternoon, that Pittsburgh are 1-11 since 2022 in games that TJ Watt misses or is playing through an injury. So clearly, I know it could be a coincidence, but I don't really believe in coincidences when the sample size is this large. TJ Watt doesn't play throughout the game or doesn't play at all. The Steelers struggle. And this is the defense that already struggles defending the run. Yes, they can get after the quarterback a little bit, but that run defense is Charmin ultra soft, man. And if TJ Watt, if he's not on the field, that's a massive advantage for Miami, and you hope that the Dolphins can take advantage of a little bit of a break here, assuming TJ Watt misses the game. But I do want to show some respect to one of the best defensive players in the NFL over the last 8 years, wishing him a speedy recovery. Send love to the Steelers edge rusher. Spam his initials, TJ, down in the comment section. If he does end up missing this game, the next men up for the Pittsburgh Steelers defense will be Jack Sawyer, the rookie out of Ohio State, or Nick Herbig. And now Nick Herbig is a very good ball player, and I don't want to get it twisted. Yes, it's a massive drop-off from TJ Watt to Herbig, but Herbig is still a really productive pass rusher for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He almost has the same amount of sacks this season for TJ Watt straight up. Playing in 12 games, he's got 3 forced fumbles, 6.5 sacks, 12 TFLs. Herbig's been a real productive player for that Pittsburgh Steelers defense this season. Now, Jack Sawyer would have to take a step up as well. He has played in all 13 games for Pittsburgh, obviously as a rookie midday 2-3 pick. I forget if he was in the 3rd round or the 4th, 5th round. 4th round, says producer Coop. So if he's right, give him credit. If he's wrong, flame him in the comment section. But Sawyer is going to have a larger role. Obviously, no TJ Watt. Here is a potential big return for the Pittsburgh Steelers, though. Mike Tomlin said Derek Harmon, the rookie defensive tackle from Oregon, was limited this week, and there is a lot of optimism in Pittsburgh that the rookie D lineman is going to return for the Steelers this week. He has been out for the last couple of weeks with a lower body injury. Harmon missed the start of the season, and then once he came back, that Steelers defense took a little bit of a step up. Now, I talk about coincidences earlier in the video. I don't believe in coincidences. And I don't believe it's a coincidence that the Steelers defense, with Derek Harmon out of the lineup the last 2 weeks, have been absolutely torched on the ground. They gave up 217 rushing yards against the Ravens this past Sunday, and the Sunday prior against the Buffalo Bills, they gave up 249 rushing yards. Sperry, we were talking this week. He said if Harmon plays in this game, he thinks the Steelers get a massive boost in a potential victory. Now, that was before this TJ Watt news. He said if Harmon misses this game, he thinks it's incredibly more likely that Miami's rushing attack will be as effective as it has been over the last month, potentially rushing for 200 yards and making it 3 straight weeks where the Steelers have allowed that many rushing yards to their opponent. So Harmon is going to be a key inflection point in this game. If the Steelers are without Harmon and TJ Watt, I think Miami wins this game pretty easily. How about that? That's going to do it for today's show. We cover all Dolphins news and rumors every single day, so join the channel if you want daily Dolphins coverage, and let's catch up to the Steelers Talk channel in our sub battle this week. Woo!
How dare you doubt me?
Were you correct?
Of course I was correct.
I just was making sure.
Of course I was
couldn't remember if
correct.
he was a third or fourth round pick. Couldn't remember.
This channel pre-Rolly was nothing because I was on Steelers.
No, wait, whoa. Say that again.
I rephrased that wrong.
Yeah, you did. You said pre-rolling.
Yeah, I phrased it
like,
wrong.
how does that correlate? Go ahead.
What I meant to say was before I was on this channel, I was on the Steelers channel.
Yeah, he's a double agent. Coop's rooting for the Steelers this
Absolutely, I actually hate the Steelers. I would say they're in my bottom 3 of teams I hate the most.
Really?
Absolutely.
Give me your top 3 most hated NFL teams.
Eagles number 1.
Okay.
Packers number 2. Steelers number 3.
Really? So you hate the Steelers over because Coops grew up a Cowboys fan.
I did.
Even though he's not the biggest Cowboys fan. It's like his least favorite team. You still hate the Steelers over 2 division rivals in the Commanders and Giants.
Yeah, the Cowboys beat the Commanders and the Giants a lot. Okay. Dak has an incredible record against the NFC East, so I really don't see them as threats. He can't beat the Packers, though, and it feels like he's played decent in, I want to say he's 2-1 in 3 games against the Steelers, but I just never have liked Pittsburgh.
All right. That's fair enough. Now, Coop, would you say that was correct in my assessment that out of all of your teams that you would claim that you root for and are fans of, the Cowboys are last on the list?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's not even close.
Now, where is that bubble team? Now, are you counting Florida basketball in that, or are you, what are you counting here?
Oh, I was thinking just major.
I was thinking when I made that statement, Cowboys football, Texas football,
yeah,
Stars hockey, Rangers baseball,
yes.
Mavericks basketball.
I would agree.
I don't think there's any other I could put in there. I know you root for Florida football and basketball, but I wouldn't consider you a fan of them.
Florida basketball, I am a fan of, I would
really?
say. Yeah, I am. I've watched almost every Florida basketball
game. Who do you like more, Dallas Cowboys football or Florida basketball?
I would say Florida.
So it is Cowboys.
Yeah.
Last then. I didn't know you were a big Gators guy in hoops.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching the Gators for a long time in hoops. It's been a fun ride.
Yeah, shame they stink this year.
Dad, former student manager of the Florida Gators.
Really?
Yep, back in the 70s.
Good for him. I could never be a student manager.
Oh, I almost did it at North Texas.
A lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of work.
A lot of early hours, going in the weight room with the fellas and rebounding for them.
I really thought it would be cool to travel, but for college basketball. But with North Texas, probably not that cool. You're probably not flying charters.
No. How do you think they travel most of the time? Well, now they probably have been playing, but
North Texas, maybe now they do.
Bonaventure has a private plane.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah. Well, now that was gifted from Woj.
Sure.
Before he was GM.
They have their own plane, or they charter a plane?
No, they have their own plane.
Like the team plane?
Correct.
No way. Good for them.
Very small, but they do have their own plane. They don't utilize it a lot.
You can't travel to away games on that now.
You can. Well, when we go
to
fit
the whole team?
Yeah.
Oh,
when we go to VCU, the Davidsons, the Carolina teams, at the southern line of the A10, we fly.
Huh. Okay, I didn't know that.
We definitely used that plane when we went to Florida.
That's tough.
Our private plane.
Yeah.
All right, let me take a sip of water here, and then we're going to continue rocking and rolling here.
We got Joe Burr to talk about. It's a fascinating topic. Oh, someone says, F the Gators, go Knowles. How rude.
I mean, there's just so much division inside the state of Florida.
Oh,
when it comes
they
to
all
college
hate each other.
landscape. Yeah, Miami hates Florida State. Florida State hates Miami. Florida State hates Florida.
Florida hates both.
Florida hates both. Florida State hates both.
Yep.
Miami hates both. They all hate each other.
They all hate each other.
All three of them hate each other.
No doubt. And then there's UCF.
Yeah, which no one cares about. Which I think the biggest one is Miami, Florida State, though.
Yeah, it's
like,
the biggest rivalry.
Out of the three of them, and
no,
if you
agreed.
did every single rivalry game, if you will, the one that matters the most is Miami.
I think Florida fans would tell you their biggest rival is either Georgia or Tennessee. They wouldn't even say Florida State.
Georgia.
It is.
From an outside
viewer,
it is. It's definitely.
I think
if you play every year on a neutral site because you never want to go to the others, stadium, that tells me that just means more.
If you ask my dad, who is a diehard Gators fan, I think he might tell you Tennessee. But that's just...
That might be personal who you
exactly
want, who you hate more, but if you did a consensus, it's definitely...
It's like Texas.
Now,
Oklahoma's the bigger rivalry.
Who is your biggest rival? Are you saying it's Florida? Because I think maybe recency bias might cloud judgments, and they might go Alabama.
And Tennessee, they hate Tennessee as well. They hate Tennessee. That's a big rival as well.
But Alabama and
I think
have
they
had
would
such big battles lately.
I think recently they would say it's Alabama.
Yeah, if you pulled Georgia Bulldogs fans and said, "Who's your biggest rival?" I think the majority of them are going to say Alabama.
I mean, Georgia's won 6 of the last 7 against Florida and 5 in a row.
I mean, yeah, because Florida's just gotten
they've been
so
terrible,
uncompetitive at times.
Since Mullen left, they've been awful.
People might like that's the honest truth. Even when you're a legit I hate you rivalry, if it's not competitive every year and the opposing team isn't good, you're just naturally gonna be yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
because it's they stink and
exactly.
It's not as fun. So, yeah. All right, let's get into the next show on this live edition of Dolphins Today. Joe Burrow, could he be a trade target and be available this upcoming offseason? Coop, when you are ready, let's get into the news and rumors. Could a blockbuster Joe Burrow trade be on the table for the Miami Dolphins this offseason? You wouldn't think it was even possible, but based off what Burrow said at his Wednesday press conference this week, he kind of left the door open for either retirement or maybe trade request. This is what he said on December 10th at his Wednesday press conference. If I want to keep doing this, I have to have fun doing it. I have been through a lot. If it's not fun, then what am I doing it for? There's just a lot of things going on right now. And you first hear that and you hear him say there's a lot of things going on right now, and you just hope Joe Burrow, everything is okay mentally in your life, because you never want to hear anybody say that they're going through a lot right now, right? But when you hear that quote, you immediately think, oh, does he not want to play for the Cincinnati Bengals anymore? Is he going to request a trade this offseason? But then you also have to consider the amount of injuries that he's had in his career, and we'll look at them here in a second, and wonder, is he hinting at potentially early retirement? Andrew Luck retired at age 29. You know how old Joe Burrow turned just this past week? 29. Is that a possibility? But we're going to act as if he is going to request a trade for this specific hypothetical. And if there is a chance, would you trade for Joe Burrow? Type Y for yes or N for no. By the way, sometimes you completely are like, dude, why are you requesting a trade? Why are you being a diva? I think if Joe Burrow requested a trade out of Cincinnati, it might be one of the most justifiable trade requests in the history of the NFL. The Cincinnati Bengals are a terrible organization. They are an embarrassing organization. They are one of the cheapest organizations in the entire sport. And they have failed to do the one job that they had, which is to protect Joe Burrow. Yes, they have gotten him elite weapons. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. That is fun to throw to one of the best wide receiver duos in the NFL for your entire career, basically. But you know what's even more fun? Not getting absolutely hammered on a week-to-week basis by opposing pass rushes. And if you look at the Cincinnati Bengals pass protection win rate since Joe Burrow became a Bengal, they rank 32nd, dead last, in that 6-year span. And you see on a year-to-year basis, they have never ranked outside of the bottom 10 in the NFL. How do you let that happen? If I had Joe Burrow on my team, and boy, we did this with Tua, the number one thing you have to do is put an offensive line around him that protects him from injury and gives him time to throw the football field. Miami has failed to do that, and it's resulted in potentially the Tua we have today in the shell of himself that he was 3 years ago, and it's slowly happening with Joe Burrow as well. I mean, you look at his career, and he has had 3 significant injuries, and this doesn't even mention some small injuries that they've picked up alongside the way as well. He had a torn ACL, MCL, and PCL in his rookie season. I remember it felt so bad for him. He just got absolutely killed in the knee against the Washington football team at the time. A couple years ago, he had a torn ligament in his wrist that ended his season, missed the final 2 months of the year. And then this season, he had a grade 3 turf toe. And I think a very common misconception is how significant a turf toe actually is, because it sounds like, oh, you just stubbed your toe. No, those are nasty. So 3 massive injuries for Joe Burrow, and that continues to raise the question, is he just another iteration of Andrew Luck? A unbelievable talented quarterback that went number 1 overall, but just suffered so many injuries because their organization failed to put a competent offensive line around them, and it just resulted in the body decaying and the mind decaying to a point it's like, hey, I don't want to do this at all. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm getting killed every single day. Sure, it's fun to play football. It's fun to make a lot of money, but it's not worth it if I'm not going to be able to walk when I'm 45 years old. And like I mentioned earlier, both of these quarterbacks, when Andrew Luck retired, is 29, and now Joe Burrow makes this statement this week, and he just turned 29 this week. But let's start thinking about the other way. If it's a trade request that he hinted at and not actually him potentially retiring, if he does indeed request a trade, there is no world where Miami sits back idly and doesn't try to get a deal done, or at least call Cincinnati and say, hey, what's the asking price? Hey, Joe Burrow's agent, would you potentially want to come be a Miami Dolphin if we went out and traded for you? Because when this guy is able to play football, he is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I think without a doubt, in my mind, he is a top 5 quarterback in the league when healthy. Now, that is going to start getting hairy because you've had some young quarterbacks really take a step up, Drake May being one of them. But I think it's hard to say the top 5 quarterbacks in the league right now aren't some lineup of Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Matthew Stafford and Burrow. And, like, you have those 6. And then Drake May's right there as well. Like, you look in 2024 and 2022, when he played all these games and didn't miss one, look at his numbers, man. Close to a 70% completion percentage, almost 5,000 yards, a ridiculous touchdown to interception ratio, and over 100 QB rating. The way he is able to analyze a defense, throw with precision, with touch, down the football field, over the middle of the field, there just is not a better quarterback in the league, in my opinion, reading a defense. Like, sure, Stafford's up there, but when you talk about reading a defense, knowing where to go with the football, and hitting the defense where it's weakest, that is where Joe Burrow excels. And he would be the best quarterback Miami has had, without a question, since Dan the Man Marino. More coming here, but today's show is sponsored by Ethos. Have you or a friend ever experienced loss, which has you questioning and thinking about how to secure your family's financial future? With life insurance through Ethos, your family is protected. Life insurance is a perfect way to make sure you're covered, and right now you can get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. There is no complicated process. It's 100% online, no medical exam required. You just answer a few health questions. Some policies as low as $2 a day, billed monthly. And as of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That is ethos.com/NFL Daily. Application times may vary. Rates may vary. Links in the description and comments of today's video. You talk about potential destinations now for Joe Burrow. If he requests a trade, I honestly think, Coop, 20 teams? give a call to Cincinnati. Like, what teams don't? You got to find the teams that don't want Joe Burrow in opposition of who actually would want Joe Burrow. There might be 7 teams in the NFL that don't want Joe Burrow. It might be the Patriots, the Chiefs, the Commanders, the Bills. End of list. Like, seriously, maybe the Cowboys, the Bears, like those other young quarterback-led teams. But you're asking me about the top potential destinations for Joe Burrow. I'm looking at the Los Angeles Rams. I'm looking at the New York Jets, the Minnesota Vikings, and Las Vegas Raiders. I'm looking at teams that need a quarterback for the future and also have the draft capital to potentially pull it off, as well as be a destination where Joe Burrow would sign off and be fine going there. Like, I actually want to say this. For the people out there, I don't know if Miami would be able to get a trade done because you are still paying Tua, and I don't know if you're able to trade Tua to a different team if you trade for Tua or Joe Burrow. Because if you keep both Tua and Joe Burrow on your roster, you are going to have damn near $100 million in cap hit on those 2 quarterbacks in 2026. And yeah, then you could just cut Tua in 2027, and the dead cap isn't that high. But are you going to be able to have $100 million in cap allotted in 2026 to 2 quarterbacks? No, probably not. Plus, I think there are more appealing places for Joe Burrow and places that have way more draft capital to offer. Now, the way the NFL works, you are allowed to trade 3 first-round picks at a time. 3 or this year's draft, and then 2 years in advance. So you can trade 2026, 27, and 28. So you're talking about potential trade assets that Miami has that you can send towards Cincinnati to get Joe Burrow. You have 3 tradable first-round picks. You have 3 tradable second-round picks. You obviously have a lot of third-round picks you can throw in there as well to really put the deal over the edge if you needed to. You also have Waddle, Achane, and Chop Robinson. Now, if you're trading for Joe Burrow, you're probably not putting those 2 on the table because you're going to need to surround Joe Burrow with offensive talent. But you would have to think about maybe sending Chop Robinson to Cincinnati because the Bengals don't have a good defense whatsoever, and they could be looking to get a young defensive player in return as well as a ton of draft capital. Now, I don't think it's going to be Miami if Burrow does request a trade. I think the Minnesota Vikings would be Joe Burrow's preferred destination. Have a good head coach, a good defensive coordinator, a roster that on paper is scheduled to win now, a wide receiver core that features one of his best friends, Justin Jefferson, a wide receiver he threw to a ton at LSU. You have Jordan Addison. You have a lot of good things going for you in Minnesota. And if you're the Vikings, you could trade all of your first-round picks and J.J. McCarthy to Cincinnati so the Bengals aren't left like with nothing in the kitchen, and they at least have a young quarterback to play and develop potentially in J.J. McCarthy. And you also look at some of the other teams in terms of trading assets for Joe Burrow. The Jets have like 5 or 6 tradable first-round picks. They have 2 in each of the next first rounds. The Rams have a projected top 10 pick right now from the Atlanta Falcons, plus their own draft capital over the next 2 or 3 years. Is there a scenario where the Rams win the Super Bowl this season, Matthew Stafford retires and goes off to the sunset, and then the Rams trade all their first-round picks to get Burrow as the replacement? Wouldn't put it past them. So I don't think it's very likely the Miami Dolphins would be able to trade for Joe Burrow if he ultimately became available, but you have to at least try if you're Miami. We're on and out the video here in a second, but if the Dolphins ever make a move, whether it's a trade, signing, or cut, we will have you covered. We cover all Dolphins news and rumors, so subscribe today. Final word on today's show. Let's close with this. I would do a lot to get Joe Burrow the next Dolphins quarterback. But I also have the realization and understanding that it might not be the best time for Miami to go out and trade 2-3 first-round picks, 2-3 second-round picks to go get a quarterback like Joe Burrow. It's hard to pass up a 29-year-old quarterback who, when he's healthy, is at a top 5 level in the National Football League. But you also have to retain the assets to allow yourself to set a foundation on the roster. Because we see it with Cincinnati right now. What good is a top 5 quarterback in the league if you have a bad offensive line, if you have a horrible defense. If you can't defend and you can't protect your quarterback, then you're not going to be able to win. Cincinnati hasn't been good over the last 2 years because of that. And I'm afraid that if Miami did send 2-3 first-round picks to Cincinnati to get Joe Burrow, they would have basically the same exact situation as Cincinnati has right now. Yeah, they'd have a pretty fun offense, but Burrow would constantly have an injury scare because the offensive line wouldn't be able to protect him. Although I do think Miami's O-line is significantly better than Cincinnati when you have Paul, you have Jackson, you have Aaron Brewer. But your defense, are you going to be able to build a good defense for that can sustain over a 17-game season without any draft capital? It's going to be a lot more difficult. All right, that does it for today's show. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us here. If you want more, go follow me over on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff. All right.
I'm kind of all in on this.
You're in? You're all in?
New Dolphins general manager. Mission number 1, go get Joe Burrow.
I will say that's going to be an interesting part of it. New general manager gets hired.
Oh, he is closed.
Oh, did you even ask him?
Yeah. Plan for Friday. So.
Guess if you want to go edit that real quick.
Yeah. I'll just message her.
Yeah, Corey Belfast in the building. Well done, Nick. Thank you. Rolly, do you think the Vikings would trade everything for Burrow and Chase? I doubt it'd be crazy. I don't think they'd be able to trade for Chase and Burrow because that is literally like 7 first-rounders. I mean, Burrow's worth like 3, and Jamar Chase is worth 2 probably. So that's probably not feasible. And it's not like the Vikings need wide receiver, right? They have Justin Jefferson. They have Jordan Addison. Like, I don't think you would need the trade for a wide receiver, man.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this. Like, I don't think it would work out, but it's a good point from Joey. Is there a world where...
He said he'll get them.
Okay, cool. Is there a world where you can trade, like, 3 first-rounders or 2 first-rounders and Tua to get Joe Burrow? I don't know.
The Bengals aren't taking Tua back, right?
Probably not, but it would certainly, like, if you can trade Tua in all of the draft capital for Joe Burrow, then, I mean, sign me up in a heartbeat. The concern I have is paying both Burrow and Tua because you're not able to trade Tua if you acquire Burrow, and then you also aren't able to set the foundation because you don't have any draft picks going.
Oh, absolutely.
So.
It looks like we are 4th in line, but it'll get done.
Cool.
Giannis.
Which one? Is that the one we did today?
Giannis,
we did a Dolphins one too, no?
We did the Anthony Weaver one that we submitted yesterday.
Gotcha.
We can.
By the way, Slippery Coop, you submitted that as a Dolphins.
It says Heat Report by Chat Sports.
Because it got switched.
Meh.
Got a message from Brett saying, this is wrong. Thanks.
Can we use common sense?
But you just click the right channel, Coop.
Maybe that too. 2 things can be true at once.
Appreciate everybody still watching. We still got 2 more segments to go. We're going to get into some draft talk here. Dane Brugler dropped his first mock draft, and I wanted to react to who he had going to Miami at pick number 12. That is where Miami currently is slated right now in the draft. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already, but when Coop's ready, we're going to get in the next show on today's live show. Oh, Corey, I'm very excited about Monday night. I think it's the most excited I've been for a Dolphins game outside of a season opener.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because how much is on the line?
I mean, I just think it's so fun to me that this is like even Miami might not make the playoffs. Winning this type of game on the road, cold, prime time against a playoff caliber team in the Steelers, this is everything that has plagued Mike McDaniel and
I was gonna
Tua
say.
over the last 3 years. So I am just relishing another opportunity for those two to go out there and finally get over the hump, winning one of those games.
You kind of said it, like, if you can win this game, that goes a long way into having faith in retaining Mike McDaniel for next year.
Right, like I still think it makes sense for the Dolphins to fire Mike McDaniel and move on. But if they go out and get a win this Monday against the Steelers, I think my mind will shift and it's like, all right, Mike might be legitimately building something here now, and we're really heading in the right direction. Maybe we should give him one more year in 2026 to see if he can keep it rolling. But if it's more of the same in 2026, well then goodbye. But if he's got a lot of momentum going into next year, give him a shot to see if he can go 10-7, 11-6 in 2026 and make the playoffs. And if he doesn't, then you say goodbye. So.
All right, we are ready. I like this pick, by the way.
Oh, love this pick. All right. Without further ado, let's continue on with today's live show. Just reading. No. What is that in chit chat? Players can have buyouts. Like the fact that you tried to defend the sport, it's honestly a travesty to you.
Oh my God, you can do that in basketball too. It's the same thing.
Travesty.
It's even worse.
Travesty. You tried to defend the sport. All right, let's get into it. The Athletic's Dane Brugler dropped his first 2026 mock draft of the draft cycle. And on today's show, I want to take a look at who he had Miami taking. And I'll say this, I really like the pick. But before we get into who Miami took in the mock draft, I wanted to revisit this. The biggest needs for Miami entering the offseason, and I have them ranked. I think number one is edge. I think Miami certainly needs to find a running mate for Chop Robinson because Bradley Chubb is getting older, and they don't really have anyone else that can build alongside Chop. I think you need to find a replacement for Austin Jackson at right tackle, so that's why offensive line is number 2. Cornerback at number 3, and then I have safety, wide receiver 2, and tight end rounding out my top 6. But I certainly think defensive line and secondary are probably the 2 spots you want to look at when drafting early this upcoming April. And here is the player that Dane Brugler mock drafted to the Dolphins with pick number 12. He had Miami going with LSU cornerback Mansour Delane. And I think this is an absolute steal for Miami. There are a lot of prospects. I've already taken some opportunities to watch some film, look at some analytics. Delane is one of them. I'm a big fan and would love his fit with the Miami Dolphins. And before we break him down as a prospect and see what Brugler had to say, if you want more Dolphins coverage outside of our YouTube show, go follow us on Instagram at Dolphins Today IG is the handle. It's very early in the process. There's a long time between now and April and when our draft boards are finalized heading into the 2026 draft. But right now, Mansour Delane is my current CB1. I've actually had that for a while, by the way. I think my rankings have been for the last month or two. Delane number 1, Jermod McCoy 2, Avion Terrell from Clemson number 3. And I really like Chris Johnson from San Diego State, but I'm a little higher on him than most. Let's hear what Brugler said about Mansour Delane, though. Considered a day 2 pick over the summer, Delane transferred to LSU and played like the best cornerback in the country this season, allowing only 13 completions and 0 touchdowns during the regular season. He will get dinged for his average size, 5'11", 191, and 30-inch arms, but the tape says he belongs in the CB1 mix. And boy, Brugler, I think, is one of the best in the business, so I certainly concur with his assessment here. And if you wanted to do a little background check on Delane, we talked about his age and size, but he's only 21 years old. He's a true senior, so it's not like he's been in college since the pandemic. He got there at 2022, and now he's graduating normal on time. He's also, by the way, been a 4-year starter, so he started as a true freshman when he came out as a 3-star recruit, and he was playing at Virginia Tech. He spent 3 years at Virginia Tech, started all 3 years in the ACC, and then in his final senior year, transferred up to LSU, got more competition, and you know what? He rose to the occasion and had his best season to date. I mean, you look at a quick snapshot of his career. I said it, 4-year starter, played 8 games, and had 8 PBUs to 1 interception as a true freshman in the ACC with Virginia Tech, and then just gradually improved year after year. Had 4 interceptions as a junior for the Hokies before going to the Tigers in the SEC this year, where he was charted having 2 interceptions and 11 PBUs. The guy has a special knack when the ball's in the air. He has incredible instincts. He does not panic when quarterbacks throw at him when the ball's in the air. And I tell you what, he made some real impressive plays in zone coverage. He's primarily known as a man coverage corner, and that's where he excels. He's so fluid. He's so quick. He's sticky. He plays with a certain edge and physicality to him. But there were times where he just read the quarterback's eyes in zone and then jumped a route to get a PBU on a play he had no business contesting. It was so impressive watching some of his tape last year at LSU. And if you are going to want draft coverage for the Miami Dolphins, this is the channel for you. Hit that sub button and lock us in because, yes, we're going to cover the end of the season, but we'll be here for the offseason and the draft cycle as well. I mean, look at these coverage numbers, man. It's just absolutely ridiculous. A 26.7 QB rating when targeted this year for Mansour Delane. 37.1% completion when he's targeted. Like, I know I can rave about him. I could talk about what I saw on tape. But look at these numbers. Like, at one point, like, who cares about the tape? But look at the production. I mean, tape is, yes, what matters. But, like, you can't convince me that Delane isn't going to be a good corner in the NFL. And one thing that I really liked as well about him is his willingness to tackle. I mentioned his physicality while playing man coverage this past year at LSU, which is his specialty, by the way. He excels in man. But the way he would come up and make a play on the boundary when there was a run play to the outside, whether a zone run or a toss, he gets into the action. And if you were going to play for the Miami Dolphins, you're going to be a willing tackler at the corner spot. Simply put, like Jack Jones, who has throughout his career been a player that did not tackle well. He's actually become an average tackling corner in the NFL under Miami because it's something that is preached and it is required if you want to see the football field for Anthony Weaver in this defense. Well, I think Mansour Delane would fit that role and excel at that very, very quickly. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, and during the holiday season, there is no place where it feels good to be right quite like Prize Picks. New feature alert, early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. How you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the Power Play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stat projections, like I did here for Monday Night Football, Dolphins Steelers. I went more than Devon Achane rushing yards, less than on Jaylen Warren rushing yards, less than on Malik Washington receiving yards. That is my 3-player entry. Join me and the millions of others on Prize Picks. Download the app and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. If you're talking just overall draft, though, with the Miami Dolphins, I really do like Mansour Delane in the teens. Like, if Miami's going to end up picking anywhere between 12, 13, and 16, 17, which is probably where it seems they're going to end up based on their schedule in this 4-game win streak, Mansour Delane probably will be there. Maybe there's a world he grows and rises up boards and he goes inside the top 10, but I think he's going to be in that kind of slot range, and I would love to take him if he's there. But with that being said, like, I'm not forcing the Dolphins to take Delane, and I'm not forcing the cornerback position on Miami either. Like, they need to go best player available, but I did mention defensive line, edge rusher, and secondary, safeties and corners, are probably the biggest positions of need for Miami if you can't find a Austin Jackson replacement at right tackle as well. And if you looked at the mock draft that Brugler put out in the 8 picks following Miami's Mansour Delane pick at 12, you can't really tell me that there is a guy that Miami passed on that is better than Delane. Like, sure, you can have the debate who's CB1 between Delane and McCoy. I told you I lean Delane. You can have a debate on if Miami should go offensive tackle like a Francis Maiagawa from Miami, but I would rather have Delane than Kenyon Sadiq, even though I do really like him as a tight end prospect and Miami needs one. I would take him over Ty Simpson. I would take him over Peter Woods. I would take him over Caden Proctor, Caden McDonald, and Sonny Styles. Like, to me, I really think if you told me the players and prospects available at pick 12 in this mock draft, I would have taken Mansour Delane at this point in the process. So I'm thrilled that Dane Brugler sees it the same way that I do. And I want to see if you guys agree with me and Dane here on Delane being a good pick for the Miami Dolphins. Would you be happy about that based off what I've told you in today's show if you were not familiar with his game prior? Y for yes or N for no. Like I said, I'd go Delane in this spot. And I mentioned that I'm not forcing secondary. I'm not forcing a cornerback pick, but it does make a ton of sense for Miami to draft a corner either with their first-round pick or second-round pick. We pounded our fist on the table last April saying Miami should have taken Will Johnson at 13, and when they traded up to 37, that we wanted the Michigan corner because we don't have a future at the position. And that still remains the same. Yes, we have gotten incredible production from Jack Jones and Rasul Douglas this year out of absolutely nowhere. But you only have Storm Duck, Jason Marshall Jr., and Juju Brents under contract at the corner spot next year. And yes, those are 3 young guys, all within their first 4 years of the league. But you can't start 2 of those guys in the boundary and feel confident about it next season. I'll mention it again. Rasul Douglas and Jack Jones have been fantastic. I would like to re-sign one of them to keep a veteran presence inside the locker room, inside that position group, and a corner that has had success in the NFL in this Anthony Weaver scheme in Miami. But you also need a future CB1. Like, you need a young guy with a lot of talent that you can hope to grow into a lockdown corner that can really just lead that cornerback room for the next 6-7 years potentially. And I did not mean to do that on purpose, and I'm mad I accidentally did. Like, I don't think you're finding that in free agency. There are some interesting young guys, our own Kader Kohu, Jamel Dean, but he's a little bit older, Greg Newsome, Reek Woolen, certainly intriguing guys, but they're also going to get paid $15+ million per season in all likelihood. I think going draft is more likely for Miami, and that's where Delane comes in. Maybe a Jermod McCoy, Avion Terrell. I mentioned Chris Johnson a little bit earlier. I like Delane more than any of them. That's why he's ranked number 1 there. I didn't purposely rank him that way, but that is kind of how I would if I wanted to go through my cornerback rankings right now. So I like the pick, and if Miami ended up taking Delane in the draft, I think it would be a steal. I think it would be a great selection because it's a really good elite football player, but also at a massive position of need for the Miami Dolphins. We'll maybe do our own mock draft coming up soon when the season is officially over and the Dolphins get eliminated from playoff contention. So subscribe and be on the lookout. Woo!
You 6'7" yourself?
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. I really didn't. It's just, like, all jokes aside, the, 6 and 7 are such a,
it's a combination.
Good, length.
No, it is.
Like, when you're talking in the league in the NFL and you have a good young player, I would put their shelf life
6 or 7
at
years.
that type of
Correct.
time. Like, you come into the league, right, as a 21, 22-year-old rookie, and then if they're elite, you keep them for the 6-7 years, and it takes to the 29, 30 age season. So it is really that time frame.
I'm very intrigued with Mansour Delane, though, and if that's how the draft ended up falling for the Dolphins, you could do a lot worse than that, and finding your CB1 should be, one of the main priorities of this new front office, this new regime, however that shakes out. You can still sign one of those veterans back, like a Rasul Douglas or a Jack Jones, to go along with the CBs you already have under contract.
I mean, yeah, I really like Delane a lot. I do. Yeah, I think you could tell based off that video that we just filmed that he is really someone that I like.
There's no way I would take Ty Simpson at 12, though.
I don't think so either. Ty Simpson was intriguing to me, but he really struggled down the stretch. I didn't like what I saw in that SEC championship game. I know that it's just one game, but to me, yes, he's pretty solid, and I think he's an interesting young quarterback prospect, but I would not take him at that range right now. I would prioritize filling out your roster before you go the quarterback route. Maybe
No
just
doubt.
wait till 2027.
I think, and because you basically have to keep 2 on the roster next year anyways, you might as well not kick the can down the road, but look at and evaluate the 2027 draft class.
Yeah. I don't really understand this comment from LaQuisha. I wasn't paying attention, but why did it say Jason Marshall Jr. was under contract next year? Isn't he on a rookie deal? You answered your own question. Like, you say you don't understand why he was on the list of corners under contract, but yes, he is on a rookie deal.
Which means he is under contract.
Yeah, like I just don't understand that comment at all. I do not understand. Sometimes people say stuff that really just has me questioning a lot. And that's one of them. And maybe it was a typo, and maybe the person would like to. Yeah, as a rookie contract, not 4 years. What do you not understand?
He's a rookie.
He's a rookie.
He will be in year 2 next year.
Year 2, which is that's why he's under contract.
Year 2 of 4. He will have he has a contract for next season.
I'm so confused by this.
No, I am too. I don't know if it's a troll job.
Like, you are correct. He's a rookie contract for 4 years. He'll be here unless the Dolphins cut him until 2028. But
yeah.
I don't know why you're confused why he would then be on that list.
He's bad anyways.
Some people just, I know, like, and I'm sorry if this is going to come off in a very mean way, but sometimes people just say stuff that make me angry.
Is this one of them?
And it doesn't, it's not intended to. They're asking a very sincere question.
Correct.
But the confusion here really just pisses me off. Oh, okay. You know what? I retract that statement. The person thought we were on the
correct
segment about free agents coming back.
No.
Not talking about the future at corner.
We're on the same page now.
We're on the same page. I think I need to probably take anger management classes.
No.
But I would feel so unserious being there.
My name's Rolly and I'm angry.
Yeah, like people just make me so mad.
Is it mostly in sports?
No, it's everyday life.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just like by doing stuff. My girlfriend gets concerned sometimes. She questions why I yell at people.
You do say, you say some bad things about people sometimes.
The YouTube CEO.
Oh.
Anyway.
Careful.
Anyway.
That's it.
I didn't say anything.
I know.
YouTube CEO.
I know. I was making sure you didn't go further.
I don't know who it is, to be honest. He just likes to bang me.
You want me to find out?
No, I don't care. I actually don't want to know the name. But, like, I'll be driving, and these people make dumb decisions where it's, like, no signal or cut me off, and then I just start swearing up and give them the middle finger, give them the bomb, and then my girlfriend is like, you should, like, why you get so angry? Like, it's okay. You're, like, nothing happened. And I'm like, but the truth is, it makes me so angry that I need to get the anger out so then I can move past it.
Correct. If you were wondering, and I won't tell...
I don't want his name.
No, I'm not telling you his name. He was named the 2025 CEO of the Year by Time Magazine.
Well, Time Magazine also had the person of the year, AI architects, unless I got by that.
I have no idea.
So the Time Magazine means nothing to me.
Would you say that makes him less credible?
I would actually say yes, it does. The Time Magazine is an absolute clown show. Clown show.
All right. Segment 4?
Segment 4. Sometimes I think, Coop, the angrier I get, the happier I get.
No, I don't. I think it allows you to release your emotion, whatever you need to get
My
out.
favorite thing to do in life is golf.
No doubt. And that makes you rage
But
at the same
you
time.
will see me at points throughout the round the happiest. Well, actually, the entire time I'm golfing, I'm the happiest I can be. But you also see me say some things that should not be said.
Do you Justin Thomas yourself sometimes?
I wouldn't go that far, but there are a lot of words that are said.
It happens.
Yeah.
On the basketball court as well. Not nearly as much?
No, I don't really actually do that at all.
Really?
Yeah. When I talk shit to someone, sure, but I'm not getting angry at myself or anything like that.
I should probably move. Do you want me to try to move this up?
Yeah. You just manual that photo up all the way to the top.
It's like as far as it'll go. Oh, we can do that.
That works too. Should I stay or should I go? I
I
actually thought about taking the screenshot of that song and putting it on the show instead. I went with this.
I like that.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Will you sing it?
No. All right, Coop. Let's get the next segment rolling here on today's live show. I didn't know Q&A because I wanted to actually make this segment today. So sorry if you guys wanted the Q&A, but we decided to just make an actual scripted show here to round out the live stream. So appreciate everybody. Let's get into it. Should I stay? Should I go? On today's show, we are going to examine the top 16, 18 free agents that Miami has going into the offseason, and if, based off their play and the future of this organization, Miami's new GM should try to re-sign them or let them walk in free agency. Now, I think it's important to start with what the projected cap space for Miami is going to be. Right now, they are basically at nothing. They might actually be slightly in the negatives. But assuming they ultimately waive or cut Tyreek Hill, either post-June 1st or pre-June 1st, Miami is likely going to be able to muster up through other contract restructures anywhere between 30 and 45 million, which is what they basically had last year. So I would not expect a crazy free agency class again to where you're going out and signing a big-name guy. There might be one long-term free agent you ultimately sign, just like we did with James Daniels, and the rest are going to be relatively cheaper contracts. Got to really nail the draft again this year. And then in 2027, when you can move on from Tua, you will have cap space to actually go out and make some big-time signings in free agency. But let's start at the cornerback position, because I do think the best two free agents Miami have, leaving them potentially, are Jack Jones and Rasul Douglas, two guys that were signed to one-year deals. Jack Jones the first week of training camp, Rasul Douglas on roster cutdown day. Now, it's incredibly unlikely that you bring both of these guys back. And if you're asking me, I would let one walk and re-sign one of them. Now, the question is, which one do you try to bring back? That becomes an incredibly difficult question and conversation because Jack Jones is much younger, but Rasul Douglas has been much better this year. Now, both of them have been good and way above expectations, but Rasul Douglas in this Anthony Weaver system has been a top 5 graded corner on Pro Football Focus. And when you watch his tape, you watch his film, and watch him live every week, it's easy to see why he's the top 5 graded corner. Because he's been all over the football field, defending opposing teams' best wide receivers for the most part when he's healthy, and he's answered the bell and answered the call almost every single week. Sure, he's missed a couple games with injury, but Douglas has been nothing short of sensational. But then you have the question, all right, which one should you bring back? I think my answer is actually whatever one is cheaper. If Rasul Douglas is seeking a 1-year, $7 million contract, and Jack Jones is looking for a 2 for 10 or a 1 for 5 year deal, well, then I would probably go with Jack Jones in that regard because he's younger and a little bit cheaper. I think the contract is going to mean a lot. As we mentioned, Jack Jones on a 1-year, $1 million deal this year. Rasul Douglas on a 1-year vetman deal. Whatever one is cheaper is the one I probably try to bring back because Miami does need to ball on a budget a little bit this offseason. So that's probably how I would approach this situation between these two. But if you had to pick one corner to keep between Rasul Douglas and Jack Jones, who would it be? Would it be Rasul Douglas, type RD? Would it be Jack Jones, type JJ? The next free agent we need to talk about, Darren Waller, the veteran 33-year-old tight end. Should Miami try to re-sign him, or should they let Darren Waller go? I am going to let the Walrus walk. I know this might be an interesting thought here because he's been so productive for Miami when he's been able to be on the football field. But my concern is, can he stay on the football field consistently? Because he's only appeared in 6 games this year, dealt with a lower body injury to start the year, then had a pec injury and missed another 4 games when he was placed on IR. Darren Waller has been great. A perfect red zone target for Tua, a big guy to go for on third down, obvious passing situations as well. But the reason why I'm going to let him walk or go elsewhere / retire again is because I want to invest in the tight end position, whether it be in free agency with a signing of a Okonkwo, Cade Otton, Isaiah Likely, or in the draft where you have 5 picks inside the top 100 and you can go after a guy like Kenyon Sadiq from Oregon, Max Clare from Ohio State, Michael Trigg from Baylor, Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt. Miami has had stopgap tight ends each of the 4 years Mike McDaniel's been in Miami. Why don't we finally invest, whether it's in a free agent with a multi-year deal or in the NFL draft? Next free agent, safety Ashton Davis. Similar to Darren Waller, I am also going to let Davis walk in free agency. Davis signed a 1-year deal last March with the Miami Dolphins, and I think it's also important to note here, whether it's the right move or wrong move, you are going to have a new GM come into the fold here that, in all likelihood, wasn't part of the decision-making with signing some of these veterans and younger players on 1-year deals. So the new GM might not be married or like Ashton Davis, might not be married or like a guy like Rasul Douglas or Jack Jones in the way they want to build their football team. Davis has been in and out of the lineup for Miami. He's been nothing special. I wouldn't consider him bad by any means. He's just been meh. And for that reason, I'm going to probably let him go. And similar to the tight end position, I want to invest in that safety room. We have Dante Trader Jr. I want to get him more playing time. We're currently slotted to have Minkah Fitzpatrick back at that safety spot as well. So I'm letting Davis walk. If you want more on the Dolphins, make sure you go follow me over on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff. We can create a larger conversation over there. The 5th free agent we're going to talk about today, Zach Wilson, the current backup quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. And I got to be honest, I actually think this is the easiest free agent that we're going to talk about on today's show. Let Zach Wilson walk. He got a 1-year, $6 million contract worth up to $10 million. Clearly not going to get there. But the reason why this is an easy let him walk for me is because you have Quinn Ewers. And I don't know what happens this offseason with Mike McDaniel. I don't know what happens with Tua. He's likely going to be here in 2026 because you don't have an out until the 2027 offseason. But it's pretty simple to me. Why re-sign Zach Wilson on another $5 million 1-year deal when you have the 7th-round, second-year guy, Quinn Ewers, who just spent a year as the 3rd quarterback on the practice squad. Well, not practice squad, but on like the what's the scout team? I couldn't think of the scout team name for some reason. I'm dumb. Anyway, practicing every week. So I think Quinn Ewers is a very capable backup quarterback for whoever's the starter next season. For that reason, I don't think there's a necessity to go out and re-sign Zach Wilson to a 5-year, $6 million contract in free agency. Today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Listen, nothing is given every single day, and if you or a friend have lost a family member or a friend and it has you thinking about how to secure your family's financial future, well, with life insurance through Ethos, your family is protected. Life insurance is a perfect way to make sure you're covered, and right now you can get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. There is no complicated process. It's 100% online. No medical exam required. You just answer a few health questions. And some policies begin as low as $2 a day, billed monthly. As of March 2025, Business Insider was named Ethos, the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That is ethos.com/NFL Daily. Application times may vary, rates may vary. Links in the description and comments of today's video. Next free agent on the list today, going with offensive lineman Larry Burrow. And for the first time in a while here, I'm going to say let's keep this specific free agent. Larry Burrow has been one of the more pleasant surprises for the Dolphins this year. Coming into the season, I said, based off what I've seen from him in his career with the Chicago Bears and more, that this guy is an awful offensive lineman. But I don't know if it's improved play for him or he just really thrives in the Mike McDaniel offensive scheme. But Borum was pretty dang good in replacing Austin Jackson this year. Jackson obviously missed weeks 2 through 12? Yeah, because he came back in week 13 against the Saints and week 14 against the Jets. So Borum played pretty well. Got off to a real rough start. First month of the year wasn't good. But once we got to that Chargers game in week 6, Borum turned it on. And it was a very capable starter. So I would be absolutely fine bringing Larry Borum back on a 1-year deal again and have him be the swing tackle. Am I investing in him and trying to make him a starter? Or giving him a multi-year contract? No, but you want to do another 1-year, 3-year, or $4 million contract, 1-year, $5 million contract to be the swing tackle for Miami? I'm absolutely fine with that. Julian Hill, the tight end, up next on the list. And this one may surprise some folks. I'm keeping Julian Hill. And if you've been with us, you've known how anti-Julian Hill I have been because he has not been a good receiving tight end. In the last year, he was so bad as a blocker. And that is his only role for this team to make the offense helpful. But this year, it's been a little bit of a different story. Now, the receiving aspect still remains the same. It's only 11 catches on the year for 91 yards, has a drop. But I think the PFF numbers are a little bit off. I think Julian Hill has been a pretty solid blocker this year. He was bad in PFF and bad overall last year, but with Miami having so much success on the ground over the last 6 weeks, Daniel Brunskill is that 6th offensive lineman and inline tight end has certainly been a large part of that, but Julian Hill's productive blocking has been as well. And not only do I think Julian Hill has improved this year, we know Mike McDaniel really values Julian Hill and his knowledge of the scheme and his ability to block. If Mike McDaniel is here as head coach in 2026, I think it's a virtual guarantee Julian Hill is back with Miami as well. And I'm fine with it at this point. But I don't want him to be our tight end 1. Let's make that clear. He should be our tight end 3, but comes in on the blocking scenarios and the blocking schemes that Mike likes to have. We like to talk about the news during the season. We like to look ahead in the future. If you want 100% free daily Dolphins content, this is the channel for you. So subscribe and lock us in. Next up on the list, we're going to go to big old Benito Jones on the defensive line here. And I don't think this one should be that much of a surprise for anyone at home either, but I am going to let Benito Jones walk. I wanted to re-sign him this offseason because he was pretty solid last year as the 3rd D lineman behind Calais Campbell and Zach Steeler. Miami ultimately did that. And Benito Jones dealt with some injuries. He hasn't been as productive this season. He is more or less a run-stopping nose tackle more than a pass-rushing defensive lineman. But I just think we've seen enough from the rookies, right? Kenneth Grant has improved every single week. We've seen Jordan Phillips be productive and improving every week. And then you've really started to see the 7th-round pick from last year, Zeke Biggers, get more opportunities and more playing time. So when you start to forecast and project this defensive line room next year, you have Zach Steeler back, obviously under contract. You have those 3 rookies that we just mentioned. Is there a need to bring Benito Jones in once again? No, probably not. I would let him walk and then use that 5th D-line spot or even just roll with 4 on the 53-man roster. But if you want that, a 5th, you can go with a super, super cheap guy. So maybe Benito would be willing to return on a super cheap contract or draft one on day 3 again / sign an undrafted free agent. Number 9 free agent we're talking. going with the veteran edge, Matthew Judon. And I feel like for the most part, I have been saying to let people go, and it's going to continue here with Matthew Judon. Unfortunately, he just simply hasn't been anything really good for Miami this season. I hate to call a guy a wash product because I've really enjoyed watching him throughout the years for the Ravens and even on the Patriots. He was kind of fun to watch sometimes. They called him red sleeves. Now we thought we were going to get orange sleeves. Not the case. He has no sacks this year. And I know sack production isn't everything, but when Miami had Chop, Jalen, and Chubb, Judon was that fourth edge rusher, and he really never was able to get anything going. And now as a third edge rusher with Jalen Phillips gone, he still really hasn't been able to get anything going. So to me, it's unfortunate, but I just think Judon doesn't have that burst anymore. He doesn't have that physicality where he can beat guys either. He's not a NFL caliber pass rusher at this point, so I'm looking elsewhere at the position, especially going younger and drafting a couple guys in April. Before we get to some other free agents to round out today's show, who is the free agent that Miami has that is an absolute must-keep in your opinion? Like, you're pounding the table, like, we need to keep him. Let me know that guy. Shout out to Yafatu Malafanu not having a good picture for a graphic system, but he is the final guy that we're going to talk about. And we already let Ashton Davis walk earlier in the show, right? So you probably think I'm going to try to keep Yafatu this year. No, I'm actually not. I'm going to let him walk as well. And it's for the same reasons that I kind of outlined when talking about Ashton Davis. Melifonwu has missed some time due to injury. He hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been good. He's been bland. And with you having Dante Trader Jr., you having Minkah Fitzpatrick under contract, a very high chance that you actually go out and draft one as well with one of your 8 picks in the April 2026 draft, I don't think you need to bring Melifonwu back. Now, if one of Davis or Melifonwu are willing to return to Miami on a 1-year, like $2 million contract to be the 4th safety, all right, cool. We can do that. But I am not making it a priority to try to retain one of those guys because I don't think any of them have been really special enough to earn that from me. All right, final 8 free agents that I don't want to talk about in-depthly, but I'm just going to go rapid fire here. Greg Dulcich, I would keep, so I would re-sign Dulcich and Julian Hill and then draft or sign a tight end to round out that room. Cam Good, I'd let him go. Daniel Brunskill, I'll let him go. But why am I letting him go? It's because I actually would like to re-sign Cole Strange, who I forgot to put in the show. Hand up, that's on me. I want to bring back Cole Strange. He's been pretty solid at right guard. He can fill that role as a backup interior offensive lineman and in that Brunskill role next year as a younger guy. I'm keeping Elijah Campbell for his special teams value. I'm keeping both Willie Gay and KJ Britt as our backup linebackers if they are willing to return to be our backups because I think our linebacker core 4 is maybe the best position group we have on the entire roster this season. Ethan Bonner, I'm done with his ass as an experiment. You can go. Cool interception against the Jets, though. I'll give him credit. Jake Bailey. I was critical. I said the Dolphins need to find a new punter this offseason. He's proved me wrong this year. Jake Bailey's had an excellent year. Unfortunately, we've had to use him more than I would have thought and would have liked. But I think Jake Bailey's actually had a pretty solid season punting for Miami. So I would re-sign him on a 1-2 year deal that is pretty cheap. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Like I mentioned a little bit earlier, you want more on the Fins? Go follow me over on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff. All right, that's going to do it for our live show. Coop, out of all of the players we talked about, is there one that you vehemently disagreed with?
I don't know if I disagree with any of them. I think maybe you would like to keep Benito Jones as a more experienced defensive tackle to go along with the likes of Jordan Phillips and Zach Sealer. That would be one I could see them keeping. But other than that, no, I mean, I'm pretty much with you. Like, I would keep Larry Borum. I'd let go of Zach Wilson. Maybe keep one of the 2 safeties. I'd be open to keeping Darren Waller as well.
I was going to say, I feel like...
depending on the conditions.
I feel like Darren Waller is going to be the most polarizing one out of the list. because I think a lot of Dolphins fans have really enjoyed having Waller on the field.
You just can't rely on him as your tight end 1.
Correct. And he's going to be 34 next year. Like, I just don't think that is something that really makes a lot of sense for Miami.
Yeah, I think, like, if you're...
And I've been very open about wanting to draft or sign a tight end and invest at the position.
If your tight end room was tight end 1, whoever it may be, Waller, Dulcich, and Hill, like, that would be good. Would you keep 4 tight ends plus Alec Ingold on the roster? Probably not. So that means either Julian Hill or Greg Dulcich is gone.
Yeah, like, if I had to choose out of the 3 to keep,
like, let's say
I would keep Dulcich as tight end 2, Hill as tight end 3 / the blocking guy, and then I'm drafting or signing a legit free agent to be our tight end 1.
If you signed, let's say you sign Isaiah Likely.
Oh, love it.
You sign him, he's your tight end 1. Would you re-sign Waller as your tight end 2 and then keep Dulcich? I wouldn't, right? Because you need Julian Hill as that blocking tight end.
Right. I think you need the dominoes to fall here on how you address the tight end position. I think Julian Hill returns regardless if we're just talking about that. But then when it comes to, all right, if you're bringing back one of Dulcich or Darren Waller, which one should it be? Well, I think that answer derives from what do you do in the draft and free agency.
Exactly.
Because if you go out and sign a receiving tight end like Isaiah Likely, who can block but isn't the best at it, well, then you probably need more of an all-around tight end, which is more Dulcich than Darren Waller as that complementary guy. But if you go with an all-around tight end like Cade Otton from Tampa Bay in free agency, well, that opens up the opportunity to bring back Waller as more of that normal receiving threat.
It all just depends on what the front office identifies as their need at tight end 1 and the type of tight end they sign.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. All right, that's going to do it for today's live show. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us here on a Thursday afternoon. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you live on Monday night for Dolphins
Monday
Steelers.
night!
Big-time game, big-time opportunity for not only Tua Tagovailoa, but Mike McDaniel as well to keep the season hopes alive, but maybe provide some optimism for the future within the fan base. We'll have videos out in between now and Monday, so be on the lookout for that. Coop, Rolly, see ya.
Later.